Well, and to that point, like you've been the family business, and you know, and your dad, granddad have always been involved in the city as well, not just the oil side of things or the fuel side of things. It's you've been involved in, you know, all these boards that you volunteer on and stuff like that. Like that's something that, you know, if you go to the website, like integrity is a huge part of the business, and you mentioned it earlier as well. Like it's not just the oil stuff. Like you've just been a part of the city and its people for a very long time.
Yeah, and I've been lucky. My parents, my mom and dad in particular, are huge believers in the idea that to whom much is given, much is expected. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I grew up in a family that, you know, volunteered. My mom and dad volunteered their time, you know, their talents and their treasures anytime they could. And you know, one of the things my mom always told me was, we may not have a lot of treasures, Matt, but we have a lot of time and we have a lot of talents. So we need to use those where we can. And sorry, that just thinking about my mom, she just had a great influence on my willingness to give back, you know, in the community, because she spent a ton of time doing that, and as well as my dad. But what a gift for a kid to see that from their parents.
Right.
And know that, hey, we have an 8-hour workday here, but honestly, I'm probably here 4 hours, you know, doing, I'm using air quotes, work stuff. And then, you know, 3 or 4 hours doing volunteer stuff, whether it's coaching, you know, our kids' athletic teams, or whether it's sitting on boards, or whether it's, you know, helping out at school or whatever. I mean, my parents never missed an athletic event of mine my entire life. I say that. I think they missed one game, but they were actually chairing an event for the school that night.
Sure.
And were unable to make it to a regional basketball game that we played. But I think that's the only game that they missed. And so, you know, that was just a big part of what was important to them. It wasn't just about, oh, hey, you've got to have a business and you've got to be successful in the business. I mean, that's important because that allows you to do other things. Mm-hmm. But they've always been financially and, you know, time supportive of as many things as they could. Yeah. And I think that's, you know, again, I think that's part of being Oklahoman in a weird way. I think there's something about people here will, you know, get together and help out where they see a need. You know, if there's a tornado, or if there's a, you know, during the bombing. I mean, there's so many things here that you can look back on and just be like, oh my gosh, it's amazing how people here react in times of need. And then, you know, those are obviously big things that are covered nationally, but just on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I think every board that I've sat on over the years has had, you know, 20 plus people on those boards. And that's, you don't need that many people to volunteer their time to
turn
run
people down. Right.
Some of these organizations.
You have to apply to this so you can, you know.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you could do the work that a lot of these, you know, boards do with 5 or 10, you know, people max. But you have so many people who are interested and are willing to help and spend the time. And I think that's, you know, that says a lot about who we are.
And I think a lot of the people that I know that are on the boards here, it's not just I'm on this board because it's a resume builder. It's I'm on this board because I generally care what's going on and I want to help impact what it is that I have to live around.
100%. And I think that's, I don't know, I guess I've never looked at, you know, serving on a nonprofit board as being a resume builder just because I'm not sure, well, probably because I work for a family business and myself, and so I'm not really looking to go anywhere else. I can't remember the last time I had a resume actually printed up. But I think you're right. I think people here want to be involved and want to be a part of that change and be a part of the growth of Oklahoma City and Oklahoma as a state. And so I think it's great the way people are willing to volunteer, and volunteer especially their time, because I think that's something that a lot of people think, oh, well, if you don't have money, how are you going to, how are you going to make a change, or how are you going to help? Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, the money is an important piece. And, as somebody who's worked on many a development committee, I can tell you, you've got to find people that have money to help make things go. But you've also, I think just importantly, you've got to have people that are willing to get in there and do the work that nobody else wants to do.
Right.
And organize things and, do all the detail work that makes, events or makes things special. My mom used to always say it's easy to write the check, but it's hard to do the hours and hours of work that it takes beforehand to do the other. And she said they're both equally important. But she said writing the check just takes, a few minutes. And she wrote a lot of small checks to a lot of small things that she couldn't help, but she could write a check for. But then she would spend, she would work what would be the equivalent to 2 full-time jobs doing events for different people and
not
things.
See a cent for it.
Right. But she did it because she loved the Junior League of Oklahoma City, or she loved, Heritage Hall School, or she loved, Kappa Alpha Theta sorority, or, whatever it was at the time, whatever in particular cause that she thought needed help. She was all in. So, but I don't think I like to think of her as being unique, but the older I get, the more I recognize that there are a lot of people who do that. And it's a pretty special, it's a pretty special trait for sure.
Yeah.